Hello everybody and welcome back to Media Moogle. I am Ole Gamer Joe as always, where I have recently taken up Thy Sword from developer Game Phase and published by roguelike Games. This has recently been released on the PlayStation Store as of May 12th, 2020. It is also heading to the Xbox One on May 13th of 2020 and the Nintendo Switch on the 15th. For this review, I played the PlayStation 4 version, but this game actually came out quite a ways back on Steam, 2017 in fact, believe it or not. It is an arcade-style action game, and it can be enjoyed in either single-player or co-op, and the main goal of the game is pretty simple: to clear out all of the enemies in a set room. To begin the game, you can choose between a Barbarian or a Valkyrie, with the only real difference being the character's loadout. The Barbarian will start out with a more powerful sword, while the Valkyrie will have the ability to carry a bow with her and be able to clip away at enemies from a distance. You are on a quest to gather up a bunch of different crystals so that you can break the rule of an evil overlord. Not a ton of story in this game, but there doesn't really need to be either, considering that it is an arcade-style action game. But your main attack throughout the game is a sword swing, which you have two types of, one of which is more of the wind-up variety that will take a little bit of an animation to get through but can do devastating damage and decapitate your foes, or you have a more basic strike which is used to hack away your enemies but obviously does a little bit less damage. You can also defend in this game, which will be necessary in order to counterattack, and like I said, the Valkyrie starts off with a bow which she can use from a distance, but you can collect one for yourself regardless of which character you use in this game. You'll also unlock a few characters on your journey, but for the most part, these characters will all play the same. You're able to purchase a variety of different weapons and upgrades by using the loot gathered off of dead foes across your journey, and if you're quick about it, by grabbing the key off of a murderous crow that randomly shows up in some levels and using that to unlock a treasure chest which has a ton of money in it. The moment-to-moment gameplay is easy enough for pretty much anyone to pick up and play, and we definitely had a lot of fun with it in co-op. It's a blast to be on either side of the screen working together to clear out enemies, but do be aware that you can easily hit each other in this game, so you will have to work at a bit of a distance. It won't actually take you very long to get through Thy Sword, maybe a couple of hours at the most, but there are a few different difficulty game modes to choose from. The apprentice mode allows for unlimited credits and easy continuing, while things won't be such a cakewalk on the more difficult adventurer and hero modes. I will say though, when you are initially learning how to play Thy Sword, if you choose to do the tutorial, that you don't really get much information out of it. They don't tell you which buttons do what, it's just a group of signs that say the actions. Not that there's a ton of controls in the game anyway, so it isn't a huge deal, but it's a little bit of a weird tutorial for sure. I also wasn't a huge fan of the initial button layout that's presented for you. You have the L1 button to block, the R1 button to do your basic strike, and then the heavier sword attack is on the square button. Thankfully though, you are able to remap this any way you wish, and I always appreciate that in the game. Thy Sword does a good job as far as that goes in terms of customization. So if you're wondering where you do actually purchase your loot, it's not in the levels, but it's in the intermission that takes place between those levels. You have little shopkeepers, and you can also do a bit of gambling, which is basically a game of blackjack. A little bit on the risky side, but you can double up your gold pretty quickly this way should you be successful. Hey, they don't call it a gamble for no reason. Thy Sword is also quite beautiful to look at, with some beautiful pixel art straight out of the 80s. In the Commodore 64 Amiga era, I really liked it quite a bit. There's a good variety to the enemy types, and they all have unique patterns that you'll have to learn in order to deal with them. Some enemies involving you having to use the deadly strike only to defeat them, while other enemies might have you blocking and then striking back at just the right moment. The environments and enemy placement seem to be somewhat randomly generated, but for the most part I enjoyed all of the different settings that you'll go through, including some forests and some caves. A lot of them do look similar to one another, but I didn't find it to be a distraction or a big deal. I also found it pretty interesting that they used the actual SID chip to compose the music for this game, which is really excellent. I enjoyed the dark synthy brooding tracks that are put on display. They really have a nice griminess to them, and all of the sword swings and all of the different actions that you'll perform in the game sound straight out of the 80s. Really nice aesthetic and sound design here that old school 80s arcade fans will definitely appreciate. But whether you're an old school fan or not, there's something here for anyone to enjoy out of Thy Sword. It's a simple romp, it doesn't take a long time to complete, but it is a lot of fun, especially in co-op play. Even though the fun does end a little too soon, I will say that there are those difficulty options to go back through, and like I said, there's a few characters to unlock at least, so you can do a lot worse on a weekend than playing through Thy Sword. In fact, I definitely recommend this game. It's a whole lot of fun, it's not hard for anyone to get into, and it's enjoyable to play. For more on Thy Sword and all of our other content, head on over to MediaMoogle.net where we have some great podcasts that you can check out. And if you have enjoyed our video coverage today, please do consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification below. If you really like us, you can head on over to patreon.com/MediaMoogle where we have 3 great tiers to choose from, or you can feel free to leave a donation in the link below. Thank you so much, however you end up supporting Media Moogle.